Hermann Göring was the most powerful and influential Nazi to be indicted in the Nuremberg trials. After Göring was arrested in the final days of the war, he was kept in prison by the Western Allies and taken to Nuremberg when the trials began in November of 1945. Göring was charged for all the 4 crimes the accused at Nuremberg could be charged with: conspiracy to wage aggressive war, crimes against the peace, crimes against humanity, and war crimes. Hermann Göring joined the Nazi Party in 1922 after he moved back to Germany from Sweden. Hitler rejoiced in having such a highly decorated World War I veteran in his ranks, and quickly put Göring in charge of the Sturmabteilung, the Nazi Party's street-fighting thugs. He quickly became one of the most prominent members of the Nazi Party and participated in Hitler's failed coup attempt in Munich in 1923. After which he fled the country to Austria. Years later, when Göring returned to Germany, he was elected to the Reichstag and continued his role as one of Hitler's most trusted advisors. After Hitler was elected Chancellor in 1933, Göring was appointed to the cabinet and appointed Minister of Prussia. He used this role to establish the Gestapo, which in turn established the first concentration camps. The next year he handed the reins of the Gestapo over to another infamous Nazi, Heinrich Himmler. As Hitler became dictator after Hindenburg's death, Göring became more and more powerful. In 1935 he was put in charge of re-establishing the German Air Force, the Luftwaffe, and was its commander-in-chief for 10 years until the final weeks of the war. In 1936 he was appointed plenipotentiary for Germany's economic planning, effectively giving him dictatorial powers over German industries, which he used to prepare Germany for war, exploit Jews and political opponents, and not least, line his own pockets. As the Second World War came closer, Göring took an important role in foreign policy. He argued for the Anschluss, making Austria a part of Germany through force of arms, and he threatened Czech President Hacha with the bombing of Prague if the Czechs didn't give in to Germany's wishes. He also took both a military and political role in the preparations for the invasion of Poland, and assisted Hitler in making it appear as the Germans wanted peace and tried to frame Great Britain as being the warmonger. As the German military waltzed over Poland, Göring had switched from being a politician into a general who was in command of the Luftwaffe as a core component in Germany's blitzkrieg. In the courtroom, Göring claimed that he was opposed to the German invasion of Norway and the Soviet Union, but not for the right reasons. He believed that he wasn't involved enough in the preparations for the invasion of Norway, so that the Luftwaffe didn't have sufficient time to prepare. He also said that his opposition to the invasion of the USSR was because he believed Germany should finish off the British before attacking East. He was more positive towards the invasions of Greece and Yugoslavia, but only because he believed that he had been sufficiently involved. Göring went on to openly admit that he, as plenipotentiary of the German economy, used slave labor to run the German war industry. He was particularly eager to secure enough slaves for the factories producing necessities for the Luftwaffe. There was even evidence that Göring set Russian prisoners of war to operate anti-aircraft guns. Evidence was also put forward that Göring, in the preparation for the invasion of the Soviet Union, established an organization to administer the plundering of food and other necessities from the territories the Germans was to occupy. With regards to the Jews, evidence suggested that Göring's interest was mainly financial and plutocratic. How could he get his hands on as much Jewish gold, art, and properties as possible? It was also proved that Göring, not Hitler, was the man who gave SS officer Reinhard Heydrich the order to find a final solution to the Jewish question in Europe. When the verdict was in, there was no surprise that Göring was found guilty on all 4 accounts. He had been a pivotal force in both political, economic, and military life in Germany and the occupied territories. He had shown little regard for anything but himself and his fellow Nazis, using slave labor and killing millions in the process. And for this he was sentenced to death by hanging. A few hours before Goring was to hang as the first of the Nazis, he was found dead in his cell, after taking a capsule of cyanide. In the note he left behind he said that he would not allow the Allies to treat Germany's Reich Marshal as a common criminal and hang him. He would much rather prefer to die as a soldier, by shooting.